First of all, here's the first thing that you want to really focus on anytime a customer comes into the store. Whenever you start to meet that customer, which is why we're calling it the meet and greet, because that's what first 5 minutes is critical. Regardless if you are working with that customer or if they're there for someone else, first 5 minutes is critical for everything that we do. What that means is whenever you greet somebody and you ask the question, either, hey, are you here for the fast, easy approval, or are you working with someone already? Or have you already been talking with a salesperson? Those types of questions is that initial conversation. So whenever you get into that and they say, yeah, I'm working with whomever, great. Let me get you to them. By the way, my name is Tony. What's your name? Wonderful. Let me walk you over to this person. And here's why. There is a psychology behind people being greeted at the front door and you saying, oh yeah, they're over there. Oh yeah, if you're working, yeah, just go over there. They'll take care of you. Big difference between doing that and actually greeting somebody at the door. If you greet them and say, hey, you here to work with someone in particular? Yeah, I'm here. I'm looking for Zach. Great. Let me get you to Zach. By the way, my name's Tony. What's your name? My name's Charles. Okay. Great, Charles. Great. Glad you're here. Let me get you with Zach real quick. Hey, Zach, this is Charles. Introduce him. Take the time. If people meet 3 people right off the bat, and this is just something for you to hold on to, if you can introduce someone to 3 people right off the bat, they feel welcome. They feel like they belong. And there's certain things, and that's, I'm not going to go into all the needs and the motivating factors right now. There's 5 motivators. One of those is needs, and the need to belong is a significant need. And you want to make sure people feel like they belong. So whenever you're greeting them, that's why it's so important to greet them by name, to exchange names, to have, and there's 5 things that I wrote down on the form. There's 5 things that you really need to do first and be prepared with before you actually meet someone. First of all, you have to have a little energy whenever you meet. Be excited to meet your customers. Some examples of that would be, hey, great to see you. I'm glad you're here. That type of thing. Just have a little bit of energy whenever you meet someone. That the energy has to match you, though. It has to be natural. It can't be fake. Because if it's fake, they're going to pick up on it instantly. So have good energy whenever you're meeting someone. Smile. Because if you greet someone looking like, hi, how you doing? I'm Tony. Automatically, the energy you put out is the energy you get back. And they will give that energy back. They'll be like, oh, okay, well, he's not excited to be here. Right? So, have the energy. Smile. Be ready to greet. Exchange names. Find and establish rapport really quickly. Find common ground. Something that you guys share in common. It could be anything. It could be a t-shirt they're wearing. It could be shoes they have on. It could be the way they greet you. Whatever. Find common ground quickly. The ways to do that, and I'm going to give you the questions to ask right away. The first question obviously is to introduce yourself. Hey, are you here to speak with someone in particular? Have you been working with a salesperson already? Yes, no. If they have not, again, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Tony. Glad I get to work with you and help you get into a vehicle. Then you go through the process. The first question, and this is probably one of the most vital questions. First of all, before I get to the question, what does the customer want whenever they come in the store? They want to feel like they're wanted, but why are they here? Yeah, we already know that they want a car. Right? We already know that. That's established. Don't ask, what brought you in today? Because you already know what brought them in. They want a car. Avoid any question that we already know the answer to. What are you interested in? A vehicle. Why are you here? A vehicle. We already know it. Skip it, move on. The first question that you want to ask once you actually introduce yourself and you exchange names is, what got you in the market for a vehicle? The reason you want to ask this question is because it opens the conversation to give you the opportunity to find out three things, because your whole goal in this first 5 minutes is to find three very important things. The first one is this: what is their situation? So you want to know what the real situation is. What is the problem they need corrected? We already know they want a vehicle. That's not the problem. There's an underlying problem that we have a solution for. Okay? The problem is where you need to get to. And the way you ask that is, what got you in the market for a vehicle? And they'll give an answer, well, my vehicle's broke down. Oh man, sorry to hear that. How long has it been broke down? That's the second question, right? You have to have follow-up questions that feed off of what they tell you on this first one. My car just got totaled out. Oh my gosh, is everyone okay? When was that? Was everyone okay? Or because that feeds off of that, because they give you information. Plus, if you literally, and this is something I forgot to say, you have to care about your customers. If you don't care, none of this is going to really matter, because it's all going to come across fake, right? If you care about your customers, you can ask the question, what got you in the market for a vehicle? They give the response, my car was totaled out. Oh my gosh, sorry to hear that. Is everyone okay? I mean, was everyone okay with the accident? Yeah, everyone's okay, good. Glad to hear that. So what type of vehicle was it? You want to get as much information so that you can, again, get to what this core problem is. What is the situation? Because once you get to this what, and you understand what the real problem is, you can understand how we benefit. What is our solution, and how is our solution going to correct your problem? We already know that they need a vehicle or want a vehicle. But how is this going to address that problem? Right? Then, this is fairly easy, and this is where most people stop. You get excited because you think, oh, I have the answer. Great, I have the answer. I'm going to go get them on the application, get a mid-check. I'm going to get them in a vehicle. Right? How does it benefit? Don't stop here. Because if you stop here, you're always going to be fighting with objections. Okay? If you go through this process, you ask, what got you in the market for a vehicle? You follow that up with the natural questions that come with that, like, oh my gosh, how long have you been in the market? How's that been going for you? What type of vehicle did you have if it was in a wreck? Or if it was broke down? Okay, so what kind of vehicle was that? Man, sorry that happened to you. Actually care. Carry those questions down until you get to the core problem. You find out how you benefit it. Then this is where the gold is. This is what you want to get to. Why is our solution important to your customer? When you get to why it's important to them, and you carry and focus everything else on that why, now you're speaking to the real issue and what the benefit is going to do for your customer. Remember, the product is real simple. Obviously, we can tell the customer what the product is, what the vehicle is. That doesn't really matter. They could even say, well, I want a Dodge Charger with a Hemi engine. Okay, why? First of all, what is their real problem? That's not the real problem. Why is our solution beneficial to that customer? If you get to the why, you can focus everything else on it, and they can't help but buy. But you have to get here. If you skip this, you're going to have to come back to it later. And then what happens is they'll give objections. Well, I don't want the application takes too long. Yeah, it does. There's a lot of information on there. But here's why it's important for you to fill it out so I can get you in this vehicle. See what I'm getting at? Every objection, you come back, yeah, it is. I understand that. Everything they say. By the way, everything your customer says, take it as an offer to build onto. Because, and I'll do some more training on this actually tomorrow, but you got to get to this why and understand the why at the very beginning. Get them on the application. Now what the reason for them to do those steps falls into place because you already understand here's what your situation is, how I'm going to benefit it, and why it's important to you. That's the first step. And it should take about 5, maybe 10 minutes. Most of the time we get caught up in the steps. Well, I got to get them on the application. I got to find out. I got to collect their documents. I got to get all this information. Yeah, you do. But that should not be your focus. If that is your focus, those are steps you have to do. But if that's your focus, you're going to miss understanding what their real problem is, how we're going to benefit it, and why it's important. That's what you got to get through. And you can do it while they're filling out the application, while they're gathering their documents. You can talk to them while they're doing it and get all of this information. So it's all taking place at the same time. That's the first step. Because you have to have this. If you don't understand this, you're just going through a process and trying to make something fit. It's like putting you played and know the kids game where you put square pegs into squares, holes, and triangle pegs into triangle holes and circles, right? If you don't have this information, you're putting a square peg in a triangle hole. Make sense?
That's what I felt like in my deal yesterday was
yeah, and you're just trying to throw things at it to make something stick, and you're coming up with, okay, so now what do I tell them? Okay, if I tell them this, I can do this. Well, you've already lost if you don't have this. Do it right. You start the process right away. And it is a little bit of process because they're not going to give you everything at the beginning. Remember, whenever anyone shows up at a car dealership, generally speaking, they have walls built up because they don't want pressure. They don't want to be sold something. So if you understand that and you recognize, okay, they have walls built up, so let me bring those down in order to have a real conversation. So that's why we ask the question, what got you in the market for a vehicle? It opens the conversation up. And then you can go through those questions as you're getting documents, right? So, or as you're putting them on the application. But you want to start that process right away. How's your day going? Can be a good intro question whenever you're meeting someone. Are you here to speak with someone in particular? No. Great, I'm glad I get to help you get into a vehicle today. My name's Tony. What's your name? Great, how's your day going? Isn't it beautiful outside? So you go through those things. That's how you build a connection really quick. You want to build a friend really fast. And most people will judge someone within about 15 seconds. And you literally have a very short amount of time to be able to build a connection real quick. That's why, my name's Tony, what's your name? Shake hands, have a good grip on your hand, not too hard. Especially, and you have to try and match it with the person, right? So if it's a small elderly lady, you don't want to crunch her hand, right? If it's a big farmer, you're probably going to get hurt. Makes sense? So you have to match everything with your customer. So you have to play on it real quick. Everything you do, the way you stand, the way you smile or hold your face, the way you speak, the volume of your voice, the tone, the speed of which you're speaking, whether or not you feel comfortable just sitting there talking to them, or if you're anxious, if you are walking circles around them, all of those things matter. So you want to be able to match your customer where they're at. So whenever you greet them, hey, how you doing? I'm Tony. What's your name? Great, wonderful to meet you. And then have a good handshake that's not going to be weird. for your customer or harmful, if that makes sense. If you feel they, like with your handshake, and here's are some signs. If you feel that they're putting pressure, match it. If they're not, have a good grip, but allow that pressure to be a little lighter. But you want to try and match where they're at. Standing, you want to be ready, leaning in possibly. So you'll notice if you step back, there's a difference in feel versus leaning in whenever you're meeting someone, right? So you want to be able to stand the right way, try to be eye to eye with your customer. If they're sitting down or if you sit them down, try to match them whenever you're speaking with them. So if they're filling out the application, bring up another chair and sit beside them if you have to. If you're just stopping by to check on them, that's one thing. I mean, that's a whole different thing. Hey, everything good? Perfect. Let me know if you have any questions, and then you walk off. But if you're going to if they engage in conversation with you, take a moment. You know what? Let me get a chair and sit down. The reason for that is because you want to match where you all are at. If you're standing above someone and they're sitting down, it's an uncomfortable position for them and for you even, because you're towering over someone and you're in a position of more power over them, if that makes sense. Whereas if you come together, you're equal. That's why you'll see me sit next to somebody to talk to them, not across from them all the time. Sometimes I'll be across, but I try to sit next to someone if I'm coming to speak with them.
It's hard for me, I'm tall.
Yeah. So, and if someone's already sitting down and you come up, you could even just kneel.
I pop the squat a lot.
Yeah, you can just kneel one knee on the ground and Tim Tebow it. Right? But those are things. That's the meet and greet. And it literally takes 5 minutes. The next process is get them on the computer, make sure they have the application, make sure you gather all the steps, which goes into the mid-check and gathering all the paperwork.